What it do, what it do, what it do, it is your boy DT, and we are back with another one. Yeah, if you feel kind of like me, other than get money, I guess I should put it this way, other than praising God, alhamdulillah, getting money, what the hell is our purpose? We've lost certain purposes, as men. No one's really getting married anymore. No one's really having kids. So that means a lot of guys don't really have something to work for beyond themselves. Fatherhood is dying. Men need a new purpose. Let's get into it.
There's something I couldn't quite wrap my head around for a long time. Women are 3 times more likely than men to experience common mental health problems like depression and anxiety. Young women are 3 times more likely than young men to experience post-traumatic stress disorder. Young women have a higher prevalence of ideals about not being alive anymore, which manifests into a more than doubled rate of self-harm compared to young men. And yet, despite all of this, the fact remains that men commit the act of unaliving themselves 3 times more than women. 3 times more. Why are we like this? Well, I
don't know. Is it just that women's emotions kind of lead them to kind of have sways like this? Or manic highs, manic lows, and then guys just ultimately have a harder life, so they just kill, delete. I don't know.
give a bit of an explanation, and it starts with the differences in our coping mechanisms. When men are struggling, they tend to use external coping mechanisms, such as substance abuse or aggression, and avoid seeking help due to society's expectations for them to be self-reliant and unexpressive. They're also less likely to access mental health services due to this societal stigma. This generally leads to women having better social support systems, which allows others to help prevent them from actually committing the act, whereas men fall into isolation more easily, increasing their vulnerability. There's certainly something to be said about the biological predispositions that may lead to things turning out this way. One could argue that the differences in hormones are the reason why men tend to exude their emotions through outwardly negative behaviors, while women's hormones cause them to turn inwardly. One might even say that it was the way men built our societies that led to the stigma around opening up and getting help, and that it's men's fault that they are the way they are right now. But to be so unsympathetic of men's issues and turn a blind eye to them, to me, is disgusting behavior. Regardless if men themselves are the biggest factor behind the creation of these types of societies, the men that are dealing with these issues right now, young men, had absolutely no say in the developments that happened throughout history that has led them to be more lonely, depressed, and suicidal than ever. But that's not even what I want to focus on in this video. Despite all the ways that our cultural beliefs and backgrounds have changed, one thing has remained constant through it all. And this thing is the very thing that men, despite all their struggles, could look forward to. Being a provider for others. Both men and women are affected by societal pressures. That's undeniable. But I genuinely believe that women, due to everything I have gone over and due to how much emphasis has been placed on women's liberation in the past couple decades, which of course is not a bad thing, generally have a much easier time finding purpose and meaning outside of their traditional roles. Most of us have now heard the phrase, "I don't need no man," and while I do think that some women, when they reach an old age, are going to regret that sort of mindset, a lot of...
I mean, in all actuality, yes, I agree with him. Like, when they're old and you revert back to your baby self, because life is like that. As a baby, you need help. You need people to take care of you. When you're old, you need help. You need people to take care of you. Yes, they'll probably regret that they'll have to still do things all by themselves, and maybe if they have kids, their kids take care of them. But generally speaking, in this society today, women actually don't need men. So that is true. Like, they really don't actually need men. That's one of the true things that they say. Of all the cap that a lot of these women spill out their mouth, that's one of the true things that actually is true. They really don't need a man in per se, but they do need men, because ultimately all of our infrastructure, everything is predominantly upkept by men. And if there was no more men to keep up with it, yeah, good luck. So kind of, but for the most part it's true, on an individual level, but on the macro, absolutely not.
Will be able to derive meaning outside of being a mother and a nurturer more than men will be able to derive meaning outside of being a father and a provider, at least with the way society is set up right now. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Until some drastic changes are made, I don't see this trend changing anytime soon. Please do not give up on finding a partner if that is what you want, but I do think more men are going to find themselves without one than in generations past.
Therapy has always been such a scary idea to me because I simply did not know where to get started. I didn't know how to find my person.
Due to everything I have gone over, and due to how much emphasis has been placed on women's liberation in the past couple decades, which of course is not a bad thing, generally have a much finding a partner if that is what you want. But I do think more men are going to find themselves without one than in generations past. Men need a new purpose, one that transcends traditional masculinity but still satisfies our biological needs. As I've gone through 27 years of life, I've come to realize that there are very few things I actually need in order to feel like my life has meaning behind it. You don't need to get back at a world that has neglected you since you've been alive. You don't need to expel your anger on others who have done you wrong, and you don't need to hide from the bottomless pit of emotions that you've been taught to suppress. I know what you want. You want to be taken seriously. You want to feel like your efforts make a difference. You want your work to mean something. You want to feel what it's like to be acknowledged and loved by another person. And I want to tell you about my journey to show you how possible that can be without needing to fill the traditional role or becoming ultra successful. But first, we need to talk about health insurance. There are only 3 certainties in life as a man: death, taxes, and having trouble finding licensed healthcare providers who take my life from a third-person point of view. While my true self was caged within my body, forced to watch this entity possess it, it wreaked havoc on my life and made sure I never figured out who I was or who I was capable of being. To avoid confronting those truths, I would numb myself with hours of video games, talking to close friends over my Xbox 360, and when it would come time to shut it off and face reality, a reality consisting of 2 overdue assignments, 7 a.m. early morning classes, and failed love interests, I would lay awake at night, tossing and turning like I was running away from this caged self. How could I be so incompetent? Not one thing I tried, not one was I ever exceptional at. And even if I did perform well, nobody was going to acknowledge it. My friends sure wouldn't. We had all signed a secret pact that we would never open up about anything negative we were feeling. Instead, we'd treat it as a joke or let each other joke around about it for us. Making light of my failures might have helped temporarily, but in the end, it always left me with an overwhelming feeling of disappointment. And I might not have realized it at the time, but now that I think about it, this was probably a huge reason for why I had such bad sleeping problems until I was 20. My own thoughts terrified me, and they had no proper way of letting themselves out. There was nothing I craved more than a genuine look in the eye from another, a pat on the shoulder, and to hear the words, "You matter." As I drifted into adulthood through the numerous...
But all we're getting told, especially as men, is that we don't matter. We're a waste of space. We're dangerous, especially young men. We're dangerous. We're losers. Men can't do anything right, but yet every invention that's ever been fucking created for the most part has been from a man. Jeez, oh beat. It's cooked out.
At parties, the mornings I'd wake up with puke lying next to my bed, and the looming sense of obscurity from my daily weed addiction, I came to the stark realization that I hadn't changed the way I thought I would. 20 years of my life gone, and yet I still had no idea what I was doing. I was supposed to feel like a man, but I was nothing more than that small boy tossing and turning in his bed. Who was I going to talk to about this? Certainly not my friends. They didn't want to hear some sob story from an average crybaby about his problems. I already knew that deep conversations about life were taboo. Eventually, I did get my answer, but it wasn't from anybody else. It was from the man caged within. I can't give you exact details of why things unfolded the way they did, but a series of events started to expand my worldview and eventually led me to start to pursue the things that I had a lot of passion for, that I was always trying to escape or deny for the purpose of fitting in. And that started my confrontation with the caged man. He began by asking me a question. Who are you running away from? My anger spiked, and I tried to ignore it, so he tried again. I just saw you get pissed. You want to talk about it? I don't need to talk about anything, I said. I'll be fine. He gave me a sympathetic look. Look at what you're doing right now. Scrolling away through the endless drivel, valuing the lives created by others and using their standards to dictate what your life should look like right now, engrossing yourself in addictions of drama.
Jesus, bro, that's scrolling shit, man. Doom scrolling. Okay, this may be a crazy take, but I'd have to argue and assume that a lot of people spend half their waking hours actually in the online realm than actually present here. It's just like, I wonder what the average screen time is, because bro, I don't know, man. I don't know, guys. I think I'm going fucking crazy, or I'm sensing. Can't really tell you, but I think I'm
and
going
negativity
crazy.
That only fuel your condemnation towards the world and make you feel valueless, drugging yourself with endless adult content to fabricate the feeling of being loved unconditionally. There's no rejection from the girl on the screen now, is there? Shut up, I replied. Aren't you supposed to be helping me? I needed to start with some tough love, he said back. Has anyone in your life ever been as real with you as I just was? Or has everyone just been avoiding saying the quiet part out loud? No response from me. Exactly. Well, I've got some news for you, my friend. That does not make you broken. It doesn't make you not worthy. You just haven't had anybody hold you accountable, respect you, love you, and genuinely want to see you succeed. That's what I'm here for. But you're me, I said back. None of that shit is convincing when it's coming from within me. It just sounds like a lie. And have you ever questioned why it's felt like a lie? My caged self said curiously. It feels like a lie because your life has conditioned you to believe that any act of kindness directed towards you must be in the form of a joke or insincerity, because nobody could possibly want to genuinely see you prosper. You expect the worst from others because you expect the worst from yourself. I mean, yeah, I said, but what's the point of trying in life if that prosperity won't be shared by friends or a lover? Now you're starting to get it, said the caged self, relieved. The truth is, life does not have much meaning if you can't share that joy with other people. All the progress in the world will never make up for a life empty of connections. Now think, my man, think. What does that mean for you? I guess it means that what I really want isn't more vanity or obscene riches or to get revenge on all the people who doubted me. I want to be the type of person that other people can lean on when they're going through difficult times. Exactly.
Yeah, bro, and I deal with this shit every fucking day, bro. Not gonna lie, like, can I trust you guys? Can I trust you guys? I probably can't, but fuck it. You know, Didi, I don't give a fuck. So check this out. Every day I'm just like, yo, what does my future hold? My gut tells me I'll be rich and lonely. But what's the point of even having a ton of bread and you don't even got like a girl that, you know, splurge on, treat her nice, and kids? Like, what's the point, bro? And I think about that shit all the time. And it's just been like recent thoughts. I just like turned 27, so I'm kind of getting up there. And I'm just like, damn, bro, like, dating's cooked. Inflation's cooked. TikTok brain is real active, and it's a pretty strong epidemic. People are weird. People are antisocial. We live most of our lives just on the interwebs and not even in the moment in this life. So, I don't know. If you guys are younger, and once you hit the age of 27, you start thinking about a lot of shit. But you think about the same shit you were thinking about, because it's not like you're not gonna imagine just gonna start thinking about shit at 27. But I swear, like, it's a magical age where everything that you even were thinking about back in the day just gets so much more realer. And I'm really opening up because that's real.
Exactly, said the caged man. That is what you really want. And no matter how far you think you've fallen, you can start to be that person today, right now. That is your purpose, to become competent, and with that competency, impact the lives of others unconditionally. But the only way to begin the process of doing so is to first be that sort of person to yourself. That is why I exist. I still wasn't convinced yet. Okay, but doesn't that mean people will just take advantage of my kindness? What if the love I give is never reciprocated? It's not like it ever has been before. While that is true, the caged me replied, what does it matter? The people that will take it for granted are those who live in superficiality, who have not yet done the work you're about to embark upon. They too are chasing vanity metrics, numbing themselves to escape themselves, and are afraid.
At least he said that part. So I'm a huge believer. Just because you put good out into the world does not mean it's gonna come back to you. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you get what you put out." That's not necessarily true, and that's a harsh truth. That's a harsh truth. Just because you put out good does not mean that people are gonna treat you the same way in return. And if I'm just gonna keep it a stat, bundles, I'd say it's like either 50-50 or like 60. A good 60% of people just really are pieces of shit. They could care less they could care less and have the empathy of what you actually do for them. They just care about me, take, consume. Never giving shit back.
Of letting people in. This is nothing to be angry about. Their way of expressing thanks is a direct reflection of the depth of work they've done within themselves and has nothing to do with you. While it may feel hard to find, the people you've wished would make their way into your life do exist, and they become much easier to find when you can master yourself and gain competency. If you only do good things for others because you expect good things in return, you will only attract the people who do good things for selfish reasons. And if I never find someone to love, and if I fail at what you're proposing here, what then? I said. All human beings need love, he replied calmly. We know real love when we feel it. We can see it in each other's eyes, in the way we speak, in the warmness of a hug.
Yeah, good luck with that shit, bro. Good luck with that shit these days, bro. And I don't even know. First of all, only one who's really gonna love you like that is your mom, bro. Best if you're a guy. Yeah, only one who's gonna unconditionally love you is your mom. Maybe your pops too, but like generally speaking, like your mom. You know what I'm saying? Everyone else, like, it's just what can you do for me? Any girl, any relationship you get in, they're not gonna genuinely love you, fool. They're gonna love what you could do for them. And as soon as it stops, they no longer love you. So, or as soon as they just just wake up one morning, you know what? I just don't love you anymore. Because they never loved you in the fucking first place. You're just a utility and a tool. And that's another thing that I realized at this magical age of 27 is that as a man, you're just a utility. You're just a tool out here, man. A tool to be used and discarded when that tool no longer needs to be used.
But there is no end goal that you think you need. You are only here to give love through your gifts, to not be afraid to open up and be vulnerable to others so that they may have the opportunity to feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable back to you. If you do this, you will experience love day before I go to bed that is difficult enough to improve my competency. I scrapped the idea that I needed to be absolutely perfect and accomplish everything that I set out to do in a given day, and instead focused on being consistently good. It felt uncomfortable at first. Usually when I set out to do something challenging, I would let fear or rage because the incentives of said progress are far less enticing now. Before we had a lot of time to think deeply about our lives and what we wanted from them, the incentive for any positive action was survival. If you built a shelter, you survived another day with less pain. If you hunted for your food early in the day, you could enjoy it at night and not starve. If you reproduced, you could use your children to help you survive and do laborious activities, and it felt good to do the act of reproducing too. You wanted to protect your family and provide for them and yourself, and you didn't really need any further incentive other than that. Then, when our basic needs were met, societies transformed the way incentives were instilled. You could have food and shelter made for you, but you'd have to get an education and work a traditional job to get the wealth necessary to be given those things. It was still difficult, but very viable depending on the state of the economy in the society you lived in. And even though those incentives technically do still exist, there's much less of a guarantee now. You could go through years of school and never find a job, or be an employee for years but never have enough money to move out. Your role in many modern jobs leaves you feeling empty, like you're just making money for a CEO who doesn't even care about you. You can't visually see and feel the type of progress and impact you are making at many types of these modern jobs, which diminishes the human connection aspect. And of course, on top of that, you now have less of a chance to find a significant other to build a life with. Young men want to work. They love the...
Less of a chance? How about practically no chance, bro? That may be a wild take, but less of a chance. You practically have no chance. Especially with these chick standards these days, you have no chance, bro.
Feeling of completing something worthwhile and reaping the rewards from it. But due to the incentives becoming unclear and the ease of access with which you can escape the difficulty and suffering that comes with battling for those incentives, it's left many more young men hopeless. Imagine a video game where you got no reward for leveling up your character. Would that be a game worth playing? I think this is the best analogy to use because many video games mirror many aspects in real life, and the best games keep you hooked and excited to come back to them by rewarding you for the time you spend getting better at them. But many young men are finding that life is coming with less and less of that sort of guarantee, and therefore, improvement can't just be about traditional incentives anymore. For me, that first something to look forward to every morning was the...
Yeah, and self-improvement, if your goal with self-improvement is to try to get validation from others from the improvement, I got some news for you, man. Nobody fucking cares, bro. Nobody cares if you're in your best self or your worst self. Nobody cares. So you only can do it. You only have to do it for you. And don't even get me started on women trying to do it for women. Go to the gym. It won't change anything, bro. I'll let you know that right now. Get more money. It won't change nothing, bro. Everything that we've been sold a false bill of goods, all that stuff, bro, it won't change anything. And if, they do fuck with you because of that, it's really more of the lifestyle you can provide. It's not you. So like I was saying earlier, the whole concept of love is just a fairy tale thing. Love doesn't truly exist. But you being a utility does. So someone can fall in love with the utility that you're providing them or which you provide them and the lifestyle that you provide them or how you make them feel. But actually you as an individual, no one loves you like that. No one loves you like that except your mom. And just there's some unlucky ones that their mom don't even love them. So
gym. The feeling of making my body more useful, to be able to lift heavier, run longer, and get immediate feedback in the form of changes in my physique were the first sparks of light within the cave that held my caged self. So long as I had that one thing to look forward to, an activity with measurable progress behind it that still posed as a challenge, I didn't need any more incentive than that, at least for the time being. I fell in love with the process of getting better, learning how to do exercises optimally and how to craft a diet that made building muscle easier. And I often recommend that you start with something that builds your physical competency first, because it is without a doubt the highest ROI skill you can develop. You will sleep better, you'll have more energy, you'll have more clarity, and it will take you farther away from what I like to call modernity-induced trauma. Listen, I'm not one to advocate for calling everything that's bad that happens to you trauma. It's certainly a bit overkill these days with these self-diagnoses, but I am a firm believer that modern life detaches you so far from your natural state of being that many of you are in a similar state to the fight or flight response that many trauma survivors experience when they are re-experiencing what they went through in the past. Addiction expert and physician Dr. Gabor Mate explained it like this on a podcast.
We're born with certain needs, and given that our biggest need is that mutual responsive relationship with a nurturing environment, deprived of that, who doesn't get wounded? And in our society, very few people really get that optimal, nurturing, interactive, responsive environment because the parents are too stressed, because the community is no longer there to support the parents as it was throughout our revolution. Because parents are themselves traumatized, because society creates a lot of strain and puts a lot of burden on people. So there's very few who are not wounded in this culture.
When you were...
All right, so where's my frying pan at? Because pretty much just in a pan, bro, just getting fried, getting cooked. Just getting cooked. Society's cooked, and the members of it are cooked.
So isolated all the time, not getting your needs met and hiding away from these hard truths in something that overstimulates you, your body produces tons of anxiety in the same way as it would if you were going through a life-threatening situation. That's the state you will frequently find yourself in if you don't make your physical and mental health a priority first. And that's probably why you don't feel naturally called to do the things that make life feel purposeful, that make you want to make progress, be kind, and help others. Through the process of taking care of my own body, I uncovered this reserve of untapped strength and energy that I could use to power the rest of my decisions of discipline. I started to really see the value in taking life seriously and to say nice things to myself and encourage myself and genuinely believe what I was saying for a change. But it didn't help me escape the fact that I was still terribly lonely. There was nobody to share my accomplishments with, nobody to use my newfound energy and strength to provide for, and nobody to talk to when I felt the urge to fall back into old habits, exert my anger and rage, and use external coping mechanisms.
Type lonely in the comments if you feeling this, because I'm feeling it.
It's common to feel lonely sometimes as a human, like nobody understands what you're going through. And you might think the only way to cure those feelings is to find a lover or to drown yourself in digital pictures and videos of women. But I promise you, all you're really looking for is for someone to meet you eye to eye and say, I understand, and I'm here for you, and you matter to me. Community and social support was absolutely integral to our survival over thousands of years. We evolved with a need to connect with other human beings, and it is undeniably imperative to do so if you are to feel like this life has meaning. Men need to seek and create more social support systems for each other. They don't want to act like rage-induced assholes that are screaming for attention and getting angry at people on the internet in real life. They just want to let out their desires and insecurities without judgment, in the same way that my caged self.
Only difference is I'm letting out all my insecurities and desires with judgment, because you guys can judge me if you guys want, but you know, you guys feel the vibe. You guys know I'm like, you know, you can feel the energy. I'm just a genuine free thinker. I'm just literally just letting my thoughts flow right off my chest into the microphone so you guys can hear it. So, I take that back. I'm not lonely. I got you guys. I got 102 friends. So I thank you guys for that.
Had a conversation with my old self. That means sometimes you do get a bit of tough love. You have people in your life who aren't afraid to call you out on your bullshit. But those same people also give you a shoulder to lean on if you need it. I'm sure many men watching this video are rolling their eyes at me and calling me a pussy for thinking that we need anyone but ourselves, but life is fucking hard. Suffering.
Yeah, bro. And if any man thinks that, they're just deeply out of touch.
And struggle and pain and heartbreaks and neglect is inescapable. We need to start shifting the narrative that it's weak and womanly to seek help from others and encourage men to start trying to find and create the same sort of spaces that women have during times of struggle. Men, acknowledge the fact that you have emotions. You're not an inanimate object. You're just a dude who may not always be able to solely rely on themselves sometimes, even if your life has led you to create that belief. This, I believe, is a huge part of the next evolution for men that transcends traditional masculinity. It's about transforming numbness into awareness, awareness into acknowledgement, acknowledgement into appreciation, appreciation into positive action, and positive action into competency and healing. This is a huge reason why I started this YouTube channel. When I realized how much purpose and meaning life could have behind it if you start shifting the incentives and making progress on something you enjoy that makes life easier for your future self, I wanted to share these discoveries with others who might have been dealing with the same things. And in a way, it was my first real effort towards creating a sort of space that I've been trying to describe here for men. I became unafraid of facing the emotions and feelings that were to pursue something that may not be associated with traditional masculinity, but still helps you develop your creativity, curiosity, and confidence. And there's a new wave of men on the horizon who are waking up to the cultural values placed upon them from generations past that keep them from ever truly understanding their emotions. When we give ourselves the opportunity to understand these things and lift each other up and encourage one another to acknowledge that, yes, life is hard, but you're built for the struggle and the progress, that is when we start to create a world in which men no longer feel so inclined to cope externally, lash out at others for the confusion surrounding their feelings, and eventually take their own lives. Whatever stage of life you're at, you can be that man today. That is your new purpose. All you have to do is start to look at the caged man within.
Alright. Caged man within, what's going on? We're a generation of men. Hold up, let me enlarge this. We're a generation of men raised by women. I'm wondering if another woman is really the answer we need. He's not tripping. Society died a few years ago. Everything is just being sustained by algorithms and memes. Damn. Our new purpose is to stay alive and fight for a better future. Let's be real with ourselves here. We all need purpose. 1000%, bro. And the purpose always is changing. Sometimes you need to upgrade the purpose. Like the same purpose that you had the past couple of years may not work next year in 2025. You know what I'm saying? My purpose is video games. Men are going to have a lot more time to finish their video games. If fatherhood is dying, then so is motherhood as well, since us women can't reproduce alone. I will say, though, I'm a part of Gen Z, and it's quite challenging for me to find men in my generation that are decisive and know what they want out of life. Most of them just seem like they're fine with having no sense of direction and fulfilling their immediate desires. Yeah, I can see that. These days, women seem very superficial to me. I feel like it's a completely different dating world than it was even 10 years ago. Seems like women don't date or marry for love anymore, only for resources, and odds of it being forever are so slim. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of always been like that, my guy. It's just we're more aware of it. Let's set things straight first. Talking means nothing. Doing is what actually matters. All right. Well, that's all. Well, that's all, folks. If you made it this far to the end of the video, I appreciate it, guys. I rock with you guys. I love you guys. And I'm very appreciative. But I'd be extra appreciative if you hit that subscribe button and comment down below what your purpose is in this life. Because life without purpose is truly worthless. And I'll leave you with that. Later.